Hi, I'm John, and this is a bootleg Trunks figure, and this is a bootleg Super Saiyan Blue Goku. No, hold on a second. A little sticky tack. There we go. And today I'm going to use these figures to make a version of Trunks from the fan animation Dragon Bal Absalon. I've actually never seen the animation before, but it was requested by member AK3106. He doesn't have a Dragon Ball channel, but he and his brother run an online physical therapy business called A1 Physios. So check them out at a1physio.com and follow them on Instagram at A1Physios. Whew, this is going to be a doozy. Let's get started. You may be wondering where his legs are. Because he couldn't stand on his own, I wanted to widen his stance. So while he was still flexible, I shoved something in between his legs to spread him. Once I made sure he could stand, I threw the legs in the freezer to keep the plastic in this position. While we wait for his legs to chill out, let's work on this horror story of a head. Before I work on the face itself, I wanted to make sure it fit on the Goku neck peg. After making some initial cuts, the head managed to fit on the peg, but there were still some gaps around the neck, so I had to do some shaving and sanding to get the back of the neck flush with the head, and pulled out some epoxy sculpt to fill in some gaps on the sides. Next, it was time to see what exactly lies behind these lazy eyes. So I grabbed some of Mrs. Hobby Room's nail polish remover and rubbed off the paint to see what kind of sculpting work I would have to do around the eyes. Luckily, his eye sculpt was actually in pretty good shape, but I can't really say that for the rest of his face. His cheeks are super puffy, and his nose is really stubby. I made some cuts to shave down his cheeks, and then used a rotary tool to make sure everything was as smooth as possible. Then I added some epoxy sculpt to his nose to raise the nose bridge and sharpen the tip. I also fixed his brow to make it a little bit more defined and pronounced. Since we're about done here, let's move on to his hands. In Dragon Bal Absalon, Trunks wears these martial arts gloves, so I had to sculpt them on. After all the putty cured, I gave everything a healthy sanding to make sure the gloves were as smooth as possible. Next, I had to change the position of where the sash tied together, since Trunks ties his towards the front versus Goku on his side. So I had to fill in the original hole with epoxy sculpt, then marked where I wanted the new knot to be, and drilled a hole into the front of the sash. Then I made some small adjustments to the peg of the knot and managed to make it fit. Another very bootleggy thing about this Goku is that the torso doesn't sit flush on top of the belt, so I cut the lip off of the top of the belt to see if that would work. I needed to do one final test, so I grabbed the legs out of the freezer, which successfully split his legs. And everything seems to be sitting flush, so I guess it's prime time. I added a few thick layers of Gallery's Kaleido white primer since I'm completely changing the colors of the clothing. Trunks' gi in Dragon Ball Absalon is a dark gray, but instead of going in that darker direction, we wanted to keep it light and towards the original spirit of the character by making the gi green. I used a dark green as a shadow layer and followed it through with a lighter tone. Next up, I added a brown to a bunch of shading layers, not only to his skin, but also his boots, gloves, and sash. Then it was just a matter of pulling through the base colors on the rest of the pieces. Once airbrushing was complete, I had to get rid of all the masking tape to start with the finer details. Starting with the face, I drew in his eyes, which hopefully you'd think looked better than the original version, but take a gander and let me know what you think in the comments. After finishing the eyeballs, or eye trapezoids, I filled in Trunks' eyebrows with a lighter shade of purple. And while I was at it, I used that shade of purple to dry brush his hair to add some extra texture. Then I hand brushed the wrinkles on his face since the original sculpt really had no definition to the line work. Then I painted his hair tie in an off-white and used some gray panel liner to give it some extra texture. At the opposite end of his body, I painted in the toe caps and the heel of his boots with some dark brown, and then added some brown panel liner to the lining of the boots to give them a little extra texture and some weathering. Then I cleaned up my lines using this panel liner cleaning tool and some Tamiya X20 thinner. In Absalon, Trunks has the Japanese symbol bow on the back of his gi, meaning to defend or protect. But in my opinion, if he were to wear a symbol on his back, he would be like his future counterpart and rep his mama's company. So I printed out a decal. I compared a few sizes that I thought might be a good fit and proceeded to cut out the best one. And now I had to apply it. Thanks to a few viewers mentioning decal softeners in my Kaioken Super Saiyan Blue Goku video, I managed to pick some up, and like you said, it really helped with the application, especially in the clothing folds. And it even softened the decal enough where you can see some of the texture of the gi come through. Unfortunately, there was still a little bit of damage to the decal, probably because the decal is made with printer toner, or it's just because I'm too rough on the decal, so I had to do a couple touch-ups. Then I added a matte clear coat to the entire figure to protect the paint application, and all that was left to do was to put it back together.
I have to become stronger. Who knows what enemies await?
Here's the final result. Let me know what you think in the comments. Did you like the changes we decided to make, or would you have rather us keep the original colors from the fan animation? Thanks to Akey3106 for collaborating on this video, thanks to Rifty Beats for letting me use his music, and of course, thanks to all my members. With special thanks to my newest member, SSJ Rich over 9,000. Membership to the channel is $2 a month, where you can help support the channel directly and get some behind the scenes looks of what I'm working on. You can find everything I used in the video linked in the description as affiliate links. If you buy anything after you click the link, It'll help support the channel without any additional cost to you. And if you like my work, leave a thumbs up, drop a comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification icon so you know when my next video is going to drop. Thanks for watching. See you next time.